Hi, everybody, and welcome to Out of the Gate, Daily Racing Form's weekend handicapping preview program. I'm Dan Illman. Lots to discuss this week. Plenty of graded stakes from fairgrounds at Gulfstream Park. Here's what's on tap this week on Out of the Gate. Mike Beer, Matt Bernier, and I will discuss the Florida Derby and the Gulfstream Park Oaks. From the fairgrounds, it's the Louisiana Derby, a very important Kentucky Derby prep race. We'll also have our best bet segment from the Saturday cards. We've scoured the country to give you our best plays. Michael Hogan utilizes Formulator to give an under-the-radar long shot selection at Oaklawn Park. Nicole Russo takes a deep dive into the strong pedigrees of several maidens running at Gulfstream Park on Saturday, and Jonathan Kinchin, he'll give a multi-race play as well. We begin Out of the Gate as we do each and every week with our hot topic. Unfortunately, this week's hot topic concerns Unique Bella's injury. It has thrown the 3-year-old filly division into chaos. Mike Beer, I guess if you're looking for a silver lining, the Kentucky Oaks has all of a sudden become a very appetizing betting race.
You do have that going for you, I guess. I don't think too many people were that interested in taking a big stand against Unique Bella. She had sort of confirmed her superiority over this crop, at least to the point where she was injured anyway. Is she really injured? I'm getting conflicting reports whether she's going to run in the Oaks or try and run in the Oaks or not. But if she doesn't, I guess it's a much better race and a much more wide open race. You know, the default position now becomes Abel Tasman. I don't know, maybe she's the best one, maybe she's not. I'm not so sure, guys.
Matt, from the reports we've gotten, it appears that Jerry Hollendorfer wants to take a very conservative route, sort of a minor shin injury for this brilliant Unique Bella. The owners have said if she recovers, she might be ready for the Kentucky Oaks. If that's the case and she runs in the Kentucky Oaks, don't you have to take maybe a chance against her? She's going to be a very short price.
Well, at least don't settle for as short a price as she would have been had she not had this little hiccup. In Hollendorfer, I trust. If he doesn't think she's ready to go and they still go on with her and try to run in the Oaks, then yeah, I'm obviously going to be a little bit concerned. But I'm going to assume that if she shows up the first Friday in May in the starting gate, Hollendorfer has given her the all clear. And if that's the case, I just think she's so much better than all the other 3-year-old fillies.
Matt, another silver lining is that Songbird, the brilliant 3-year-old filly last year trained by Jerry Hollendorfer. She had to miss the Kentucky Oaks with a minor illness, and she came back. She was still pretty good.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing. Hollendorfer, I'm sure, has his eye on the long-term picture, not just the first Friday in May. There's a lot of big money out there to be had over the course of the summer, and no disrespect to Abel Tasman or any of the other 3-year-old fillies, but they're all going to need to catch up so much, even right now at this stage in the game, to get close to Unique Bella. You would imagine with some time off, if this is the case with Unique Bella, she's only going to come back faster and stronger and better than ever. Man, everyone else just has a lot to do, but like you guys alluded to, if she's out of the picture, the Oaks to me is wide open.
Mike, a lot of folks have been down on Bill Mott's filly Elate. She was all the rage after her career debut where she ran away and hid. She's now lost at short prices in her second start at Tampa Bay, her third start at Oaklawn. Right. Something tells me she's still pretty good. And with Unique Bella out of the situation, apparently for the Kentucky Oaks, Bill Mott's got to still be thinking Kentucky Oaks with Elate, don't you think?
Yeah, I agree with that. It'll be interesting to see what she can ultimately wind up doing. Her debut was too good for me to think that she just can't run at all. I know that she's been maybe a little disappointing in her next 2 starts in Stakes Company, but I don't know. I think maybe she's getting a little bit of short shrift. We asked for a lot of people to send in lists over the last couple of days for Kentucky Oaks, top 5s, and I didn't see her name on too many of them. I wonder why. I don't think, especially her Oaklawn race last time in the Honeybee, I don't think it's as bad as maybe people are making it out to be. She did not have an easy trip in that race.
Matt, I know you're very high on a 3-year-old filly named Mopetism. She's by Uncle Mo. They all can run. This filly's shown some ability, maybe not Unique Bella ability, but again, if Unique Bella's out, perhaps the road is paved for a filly like Mopetism.
Yeah, I don't know what her situation is right now. Her most recent start was just fine. I think she has some ability, but it kind of really feeds into the greater viewpoint, for me anyway, about the Oaks right now without Unique Bella. I don't think Abel Tasman is just some slam dunk, put a ring around her player at 2 to 5. I'm more interested in kind of shopping around a little bit, and like Mike brought up with Elate and Mopetism and any of these other fillies, right now I just wouldn't want too short a price on anyone, and these other fillies have shown that they can run a little bit. None of them may be in the class of Unique Bella, but guess what? If she's gone, I'm not afraid to take a shot against some of these other ones at shorter prices.
It's a muddled picture, to be sure. We're clouded in confusion, covered in confusion, as the late great Oscar Barrero would say. At the end of the day, when we're covered in confusion, we asked your opinion. Who you thought were the top 5 3-year-old fillies in the country leading up to the Kentucky Oaks. We got many responses, and we thank you for all of your responses on Twitter, on Facebook. We picked 2 Twitter top 5 selections. Rob McLennan at RobMacASD. Here's his top 5. He likes Farrell on top. This list might change. Farrell's going to be the big favorite in the Fairgrounds Oaks. She's pretty good, Mike.
Yeah, I don't have any real knocks on her. I like what she's done. This one, Rob's list here, and it's not one that you can really, pick apart too much, I don't think. He sort of went standard fare with it. He's got the logical 3-year-old fillies, right sort of towards the top of his list. I can't argue with it. I'm just glad you guys didn't ask me to make a top 5 list there.
Matt Miss Sky Warrior does nothing but win for trainer Kelly Breen. Why wasn't she ranked higher on a lot of these lists?
Because right now she's not flashy and she's not fast on paper. I think that's the real knock against her. But as we've always talked about, very dangerous to knock unbeaten horses that when all they do is go out and win. We saw that with Princess of Sylmar a couple of years ago, where going into the Oaks, she was quite light on figs, and all she did was go out and win at almost 40-1 for Pletcher and Smith. So I think that's why Miss Sky Warrior is a little bit lower on sort of the pecking order for some of these people.
Here's John Fratkin's list, at John Fratkin. Little bit out there. Okay, Hollendorfer's in trouble. There's no Unique Bella. Still, Hollendorfer well represented on John's list. Sir Cat Sally, It 'Tis Well. Tell the folks about Sir Cat Sally. Boy, she's good. Who she faced?
Sir Cat Sally is a horse that I don't think is getting the sort of pub that she deserves at this stage in the game. She's a Calbred, and they've kept her basically on turf, but she's unbeaten, and she's buried everyone she's faced. Her most recent win was against Calbreds going on the turf. She has beautiful tactical speed. She doesn't have to come from way out of it. And I was kind of curious. I'm waiting for them to take on Open Company now that the big girl is sort of sidelined for a little bit. And that's not to mention It 'Tis Well, who's also a Hollendorfer filly. I would love to see him take a shot and see if she can get into the Oaks, because I don't think talent-wise she's that far behind the big girls.
Mike, 5th on John's list is Selcourt. She's only raced once. Obviously light on experience, only a sprint race. She looked pretty good destroying that field.
Yeah, that was a very nice debut for John Sadler filly. I think she's a Tis Wonderful. We'll see how far she wants to go, but she was super impressive winning her debut sprinting. This John's list here is a little bit more my speed, a little out of the box, a couple of horses in there that maybe a lot of people aren't that familiar with. I like this list.
We thank you for your lists. This 3-year-old filly picture, a little bit confusing right now with Unique Bella on the shelf. This week, however, it's all about the 3-year-old colts. We've got the Florida Derby, we've got the Louisiana Derby. We're going to begin with the Florida Derby analysis. We begin the handicapping portion of Out of the Gate this week with the Florida Derby, which anchors a 14-race card at Gulfstream Park, 6 graded stakes races on tap. And as we take a look at the field, Gunnevera drew the far outside. As we bring in our in-studio handicappers, Matt, I want to ask you, does this outside post hurt Gunnevera? The stats are not good. Outside posts, 9 furlongs, Gulfstream Park, main track.
Yeah, it's hard to deny the stats, but it's nice with a horse like Gunnevera. He's going to be taken back. He's going to make his one run. Javier's going to break, whether he breaks sharp or he breaks poorly. I don't think it really makes a difference. Their game is going to make that one run, and they're always going to be at the mercy of pace and trip. We talk about it all the time in the stakes previews with a one-run closer. Gunnevera at least has a little bit of agility, but no, I don't think the outside post is going to hinder him at all.
Mike, Gunnevera is certainly not flashy. All he does is he shows up every single time with a rock-solid effort. Yeah. He's going to be a short price in the Florida Derby. What are the holes, if there are any?
Well, he's certainly, at this stage of the game, he's certainly the best horse in this field. I mean, you're talking about an 11-horse field, and I get that he's hung out to dry a little bit in a bad post position, but I don't know, Dan, there's a lot of filler in this race to me. Just a bunch of horses who I don't really feel like they can compromise this horse too much. He's going to be taken back and make one run in this race. And I do think he's the best horse in this field. I just, the more I see him run, the more I just wonder what his real edge is. And he is, at least to this point, at least in my opinion, he's one of those horses who, if he doesn't have the best of it, he's no great shakes.
Mike, you guys agree with Always Dreaming. In Todd, you trust in the Florida Derby.
Yeah, I don't know how much I trust this horse. I just wanted an alternative to Gunnevera at a short price. I mean, especially when you take Gunnevera's last race into consideration, where he got the big fast pace to close into, and then he ran it down and he paid $10.40, and now you're talking about him in this race and he's probably going to pay $5 something. I don't know if I really need him. The best alternative to me is Always Dreaming, and we'll just see how good he is. I don't know how good he is. His last 2 races are easy wins against weak competition on slow paces. Everything's going to be different for him on Saturday. But I don't really care about his figures for his last 2 races. He ran an 88 as a summer 2-year-old, so I think he can get there as far as figures go. If he can get the right trip in this race, and I think he can, maybe he's the most likely upsetter to the favorite.
Matt, he could work out a really nice stalking trip just in the second flight behind some questionable speeds, and maybe most importantly, he's got that win at 9 furlongs tucked already under his girth.
It's going to be interesting to see, and maybe I'm just outsmarting and outthinking myself here with this whole idea about Always Dreaming. I've never really like this horse. Visually, though, like Mike said, he's done nothing but kind of check all the boxes. Figs, he needs to improve. Like you say, he could work out a nice sort of stalking trip just off of maybe some distance challenge horses, just overmatched ones. The thing for me that keeps sticking, this race had been circled for Battalion Runner all along. And then all of a sudden, Always Dreaming comes along. He strings together a couple of nice races. He's working out very well. And then Battalion Runner, they say, oh, we're going to ship out of town. We're going to run this horse here. Todd runs his A-string at Gulfstream. Maybe I'm reading way too much into it. I think this is a very positive move.
I'm going with a little bit of an out-of-the-box selection in here with the number 1 State of Honor going out for trainer Mark Casse. This horse was on the lead in his last 2 races at Tampa Bay Downs, and he was facing some really top 3-year-olds in McCracken and Tappert. 2 horses that I believe might be slightly better than Gunnevera. He wasn't embarrassed in those efforts, was State of Honor. I like the fact that they're taking the blinkers off. I think the goal here is to revert to the mid-pack running style that resulted in a very good second-place finish for State of Honor in the Mucho Macho Man Stakes. I'm a little concerned about the 1 1/8, but I think this horse has gotten good since Casse has switched in the dirt. The price is going to be right, and maybe with this reverting to a mid-pack running style, this horse can come with a late kick and can successfully navigate the 1 1/8. 8-1 seems fair on State of Honor. We're going to be talking a lot about Gulfstream Park. We're going to be talking a lot about the fairgrounds this weekend. Michael Hogan sometimes does things a little bit differently, however. Hogan's formulator hero this week, he's got a little bit of a long shot at Oaklawn Park. Let's go to Michael.
Hi, I'm Mike Hogan, and welcome to Hogan's Formulator Hero. Big cards on Saturday at Gulfstream and Fairgrounds, but I want to take a look at a race at Oaklawn Park. Let's dive into Formulator. The 6th race at Oaklawn on Saturday is a 6-furlong optional claimer, and I'm interested in the number 6 horse, Blazin' Prospector. He's coming off a little bit of a layoff for Al Stahl, but if we go back to his maiden win in November of 2015 at Churchill Downs, click on the race chart and change it to the next race view, you'll see that there were 6 next out winners, including a couple others that ran second. So that was a very solid maiden win, and he backed it up with a couple of finishes. First one where he was DQ'd, and then last spring at Keeneland ran a deceptively good 4th place finish. If we click on the incremental pace, you'll see that 3rd quarter time was a lot faster, showing he made maybe a premature middle move in that race, a lot better than it looks on paper. And then last start, he seemingly was a little bit compromised as your 6-5 favorite, but as you can see from the quick note, if you watch the replay, he did go quite wide, and since that race hadn't worked and has a long layoff, so maybe something didn't quite go right. Al Stahl's bringing him back here to Oaklawn Park. If we click on Al Stahl and we bring up his trainer stats, you'll see Stahl does quite well when he ships horses into Oaklawn Park. We're going to do shippers, we're going to do sprints. He's coming off of a bit of a layoff, and we're going to do Oaklawn Park today. You'll take a look. He's done that a number of times, and he actually had a win earlier this meet, 7 for 19 in the last 5 years. Earlier this meet, he won with Yaki's Warrior, doing exactly the same thing, shipping up from Fairgrounds and winning at Oaklawn Park. So I think Blazin' Prospector should be ready to fire off the long layoff, and he's a solid 8-1 in the morning line. I'm going to take one quick look at another horse. First off the claim for Robertino Diodoro, pulling G's. I'm just going to look at how well Diodoro has done with this jockey at Oaklawn Park, claiming horses. You click on the trainer, you click modify filters, and we're just going to do trainer changes first after claim buy, and then this track and this jockey. We take a look at this, it's incredible. Nearly half of them have won, and the ROI is very solid. It makes me think that this horse could be a bit of a player at 8-1 on the morning line. Maybe we key him up in an exacta with Blazing Prospector. And that's been Hogan's Formulator Hero for Out of the Gate. We'll be back after these messages.
You asked, we listened. DRF Plus has more flexible subscription options. Use DRF Plus Basic for exclusive news and analysis, including our DRF Live real-time news feed. Or go deeper with DRF Pro and unlock buyers, closer looks, picks, and reports, including the DRF Daily Game Plan. DRF TV viewers get 50% off the plan of your choice. Use code DRFTV50 at checkout. Learn more about the DRF Plus subscription plans at drf.com/plus.
Welcome back to Out of the Gate. Let's bring in our in-studio handicappers. Time to handicap one of the co-features on the Gulfstream Park Saturday card, the Grade 2 Gulfstream Park Oaks at 1 1/16. Perhaps a very important prep race for the Kentucky Oaks, especially with Unique Bella on the shelf. You pick Pletcher every race, Mike Beer. You're going back to Nona Bella, stretching out for the first time at a short price. Aren't these the kind of horses you're supposed to avoid?
It's me and Pletcher all weekend long. He's got that goatee going on. I really like that. I really feel like he's on to something with the goatee. Listen, here's how I look at the Gulfstream Park Oaks. Tequilita, is she the horse to beat? I guess she is. I don't know how much I want her trying to stretch out around 2 turns. Now, I think she's a much better sprinter, and you got almost $30 last time, and now she's the favorite. I don't think I really need her. To me, all of the upside in this race is in the 6 and the 7. They're the 2 horses stretching out for the first time in this race, but they got all the upside, and I think they both have some ability. I went with Pletcher's horse, Nona Bella, because I like her pedigree a little bit more. She's really bred to go long on both sides of her pedigree. She already has 2 wins under her belt. I like that. You're talking about a field here with Tequilita, the only stakes winner in the field, the only horse who's cleared their entry-level allowance condition is Nona Bella. Everybody else still eligible for the 1X. And I just think Pletcher's going to have this horse ready to run. Now, he said he may not even run her here. He's going to shop around for some other spots. Maybe he runs her here, maybe he doesn't. If he does, I like her. If he doesn't, I'll take Salty.
Not only do Salty and Nona Bella have figures, as Mike mentions, they might have the most upside of any in this field. Matt, before we get to your pick, a nice horse at a price, let's talk about Salty.
Salty on paper, fig-wise, she's the horse to beat and strictly the horse to beat. The other thing that's nice about her is she was really against the way the track at Gulfstream Park was playing in 7/8 races in that most recent effort where she got the 92 buyer. She came from far out of it, but she finished very, very well. There's no reason to think that the 2 turns is going to be a problem for her, and she should get some pace to run at. I guess the thing for me is, do I really want to take a short price? And no disrespect to Mark Cassidy, we know he's a tremendous trainer. 1 for 50 in 3-year-old graded stakes dirt routes for 3-year-olds. 1 for 50. That's bad. I can't take a short price. I can't take 2-1 on a horse that's going to be going off at such a short number with that kind of formulator factor in the back pocket.
Thus, you're going with a horse that should be double-digit odds, even with the great Javier Castellano at the helm. Tell the folks about Spring Mist chipping down from Tampa Bay.
I'm being completely transparent here. This horse has a lot of work to do if she's even going to be competitive. The only thing that I can kind of hang my hat on is she has positional speed, and the 2 route races on her page were far and away the best races of her career. She's raced 4 times, both of the routes much better than the sprint efforts. I think she's going to be forwardly placed. I don't know if she's going to be able to outfoot sort of the 1,000,000-to-1 shot down on the inside, but even if she doesn't, I think she sits. I think Javier says we're going to inherit this thing at one point. Now look, maybe Nona Bella ends up being sent out of the gate from Johnny V, and that can change the entire complexion. I'm just not blown away by any of these fillies that have proven anything out there as far as graded stakes are concerned. Take a flyer on Javier at 30-1 on the morning line.
Matt, did you say 1 for 50, Mark Cassie?
1 for 50.
2 for 51, and it's not going to be Salty. Summer Luck. Of the horses coming out of the Devona Dale, it seemed you wanted to be up close to the pace. Summer Luck was well off of the pace. She was outrun in the early portion. I liked the way she finished up. I liked the way she galloped out. I think she is bred to handle this additional distance. And the two favorites, Salty and Nona Mia, they're good, but they're going to have to stretch out from a sprint distance for the first time. Summer Luck, this will be her first race around 2 turns, but at least she's run at a 1-turn mile. She should be a very good price. I'll take 6-1 on Summer Luck in the Gulfstream Park Oaks. Lots of other races, of course, at Gulfstream Park, many stakes races. You get the expanded stakes previews on all graded stakes throughout the country this weekend, especially on Saturday. Gulfstream, Fairgrounds, already up on video.drf.com. We've got some excellent maiden races at Gulfstream as well on Saturday. And Nicole Russo has some really interesting pedigree insights on one of those maiden races. Let's go to Nicole's pedigree pick.
Hey guys, thanks for tuning in this week. And of course, we're taking you through that stakes loaded card at Gulfstream Park on Saturday. And sandwiched in between some of those stakes is this intriguing event. The 6th is a maiden special for 3-year-olds going 7 furlongs. Field of 11 with some very well-bred horses in that sizable group. We're going to start by taking a look at a maiden from early March that several in this field are exiting, including the colt you'll see here finishing 3rd with a nice little run after coming wide into the stretch. That's Fayak, a half-brother Hall of Famer Rachel Alexandra. He earned a Beyer speed figure of 82 for his debut effort. He's a son of Malibu Moon. Judging by that APND sire line, I think he'll improve with the race under his belt. Achieving everything his half-sister did would be a lofty goal, but I do feel he'll at least be in the win column sooner rather than later. Now, 4th in that maiden, about a length back of Fayak, was Time to Travel. And I think if you like Fayak, you certainly have to take a look at this one as well. The hard-spun colt's a full brother to Hard Not to Like, who was a multiple Grade 1 winner, but on the turf. This one can obviously run at least a little bit on dirt, but I think it'll be very interesting to see where his future lies as he moves ahead with his career. And exiting that same maiden, a 3rd horse in that field, Irish-born Caviar Czar, who finished a weakening 6th. Medaglia d'Oro colt out of a half-sister to a European champion, to a European Classic winner. I think it's a mistake to write this one off as just a turf horse. He's from a branch of the Weekend Surprise family, which of course is responsible for the likes of APND. And this particular branch of the family produced 3 stakes horses who were very fond of Gulfstream Park and Discreet Dancer, Sweet and Discreet, Travelin' Man. So if Caviar Czar can improve off that first effort, he's got a very versatile pedigree here. Now, the pace in this race likely to be provided by Meantime. You'll see here on your screen running a good second at Gulfstream in February when he got caught by Patch, who's entered in the Louisiana Derby, where he's 9-2 on the morning line. Meantime earned a Beyer of 86 for that effort. He's from the first crop of Shackleford, who, of course, is starting to come alive with nice horses like Rebel winner Malagacy. This one's a half-brother to Grade 1 winner Sweet Reason and 2 other stakes horses. The 7 furlong distance should hit him right between the eyes, especially if he gets to relax in the lead. And let's take a quick peek at first-time starter Portal. He's a May foal by Arch, so probably a later developing type since he's just debuting now. You're crossing Arch's sire Chris S. over a stakes performing Street Cry mare. That cross in reverse, Street Cry over a Chris S. mare responsible for the likes of Zenyatta. Portal shows some strong works for owner breeder Janice Whittam, whose program, of course, has turned out nice horses like McCracken, Fort Larned. So take a peek at Portal here if you like a first-time starter. That's all for this week. Good luck at the races. And now let's get you over to Kenshins Corner with Jonathan.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to this week's edition of Kenshins Corner. We're going to scale back a little bit. 2 weeks back, we focused on the pick 5. Last week, it was the pick 4 out in Maidan. This week, we're going to go all the way back to the double, the original multi-race bet. And we're going to focus on the late double at Gulfstream Park. I have 2 pretty strong opinions in the first leg of that race, the Pan American, and then also in the last race, the Florida Derby. I have a pretty strong opinion there where we'll be singling. So the idea of this ticket is we're going to try to maximize our value by turning a single in the last race into a much better price by using 2 horses in the previous race. In those 2 races, I want to use Todd Glebe, the Mike Maker horse, the number 3. Was a vet scratch last time. From what I understand, there's no issues with the horse, just an older horse. And so We shouldn't have any problems there. Look for him on the DRF workout report. And then also Patterson Cross was a horse that I picked on the DRF Players podcast in his last start, and unfortunately he didn't quite get there. We're going to give him another shot here. They're pretty close in price, with it being 7-2 and 4-1. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to find the one that either presents the most value or the one that I like the most and bet a little bit more on that horse. As of right now, it feels like I want Toglieb. Mike Maker going 1.5 miles on a grass. You could put me and Matt Bernier in a horse suit and I would bet on us. So we'll see what happens with that. But what I would probably do in a $100 bet is I'm going to use $60 with Toglieb, $40 with Patterson Cross, and we're going to lead. That's going to lead to the single in the last leg of our double that we're going to play in the Florida Derby, and that's Always Dreaming. I think Always Dreaming is the most likely winner on the card, and I'm really excited about how they're going to bet this horse and they're going to bet this race. Gunnevera is obviously going to take a lot of money drawn on the outside, winning the Fountain of Youth, but Always Dreaming is not really the most attractive horse, not a typical Todd Pletcher 3-year-old that everyone falls in love with because the speed figures are a little bit low. The tricky part about that is that he's been in 2 slow-paced races. The last race was absolutely a crawl. They went 51.5. You showed me the last time a Gulfstream Park race going 2 turns on the dirt was 51 to the half. So one of the things that, a lot of people might understand this, but some others might not, is when it comes to speed figures, it's the final time. And when you run a slow half mile, 51 to the half, then you're not going to have a fast final time, and that's going to always affect the speed figure. The best way that I can kind of explain it, the best analogy I can come up with is if you put Usain Bolt at the mid-mark of the 100-yard dash, and he runs as fast, he jogs into that midpoint and then runs as fast as he can, he's not going to have a fast final time. But it doesn't change anything about him, his talent, and what he can do running full speed the entire time. I think we're actually going to see Always Dreaming run full speed an entire race, and I think it could be something that could lead to him possibly being the Derby favorite, depending on what McCracken does in a few weeks. So I'm going to do a $60 double with Toglieb and Always Dreaming, and a $40 double with Patterson Cross and Always Dreaming. I invite you to change that up if you have a different opinion about the first leg, but I think Always Dreaming is going to get home in the Florida Derby. Good luck. We'll see you next week.
Great insights from Nicole and Jonathan. We bring in our in-studio handicappers because it's time for the second major Kentucky Derby prep this weekend, the Louisiana Derby at the Fairgrounds. Mike Beer, I think the folks at home already know who you're going to pick.
No.
It's Pletcher again.
There's 2
Patch.
Pletchers in here. They could have no idea.
Stop it. They know who you're going
It could be
for.
Patch or Monaco or Monaco. I looked at the Louisiana Derby this way, and I don't know if you guys agree with this, and I haven't seen your picks yet, but I don't like the Risen Star, guys. I don't really want the Risen Star horses. I suppose if I was going to take one, I wouldn't take the winner, Gervin. I thought long and hard about giving Local Hero another shot because I feel like he just sort of ran off a little bit on a fast pace last time. I don't really want that horse going 9 furlongs, though. I will take Pletcher, shipping in with Patch, a horse who is bred to go on. We'll see what happens. He got an 89 buyer for his win last time. I think that's a perfectly solid figure, especially in this kind of field. I think it fits very well. I think he's run well in both of his starts. He is bred to stretch out, which I think could really help this horse. He's got a great post on the inside. I just think there are a lot of things to like about a horse in a race where the sort of local hopes who are all returning out of that Risen Star, I don't like that much.
Mike doesn't like the Risen Star. The horse to beat, however, in the Louisiana Derby, Matt, coming out of the Risen Star, that's Gervin, and he should get pace one more time.
Yeah, he's got his uncoupled stablemate drawn just to his outside in Hotfoot, and if the Hotfoot doesn't get out there and go to the front, then all of a sudden the horse that Mike brought up, Local Hero, may be a little bit more interesting because there's a scenario where if Hotfoot can't clear off to the front, Local Hero finds himself on a lonely lead again. I don't think that's going to be the case. I think Hotfoot will be sent hard out there. Gervin should have a beautiful setup in here. Pace should not be the excuse for this horse if he's good enough to go on. And let's be honest, he hasn't done anything wrong. He's, 3/4 of a length away from being unbeaten, and his one loss came in a turf race. He's done nothing wrong. I don't love him at a short number, but I can understand the people that just say he's the best horse in the race. Go on with it.
Matt, you and I are on the same horse in here. Let's talk about the 6 guest suite. You've become a little bit of a fan of this horse ever since he won the Lecomte.
I've liked him for a long time now, and I'll fully acknowledge he's not fast on paper. I get that. He's not sexy. He's not one of these horses that are just going to make you, salivate thinking about him the first Saturday in May. But I kind of look at it and say, this is a year where it seems like chaos has just reigned. And if he's going to be able to get there, he needs some points, still needs a little bit of help, but I don't even need him to win. Saturday afternoon. I think he's going to give a good account of himself, but he's got pedigree to stretch out. 10 furlongs, should they get to the first Saturday in May, is going to be right in his wheelhouse. And he's slowly but surely, each and every race, he takes a small step forward, a small step forward. If you move forward a little bit to a mid-90 buyer here this time around, it may be one, good enough to win, and two, I think it sets him up really nice for the Kentucky Derby should they decide to get there, or should it earn his way to get there, I should say.
Mike likes patch in here. Matt and I are on the number 6 guest suite. I like the distance for guest suite. Again, this is that really classy family AP Indy Summer Squall. I think he's just going to get better as the distances increase. And as we mentioned, there should be some pace in the race. Time for our best bet segment. We've scoured the Saturday cards. Matt, you scored last week with the best bet. Let's make it 2 in a row.
Of all the graded stakes action, Saturday afternoon at Gulfstream, don't need any of it. Race number 9, it's an allowance race. You got a big full field going a mile and 16th on the turf. I'm going to go with Infinite Wisdom for Brian Lynch. This is a horse we haven't seen in a long, long time. Last start was out at Belmont Park. Didn't run all that well, but you look at who he faced. You had Almanar in there, who came back to ultimately become a Grade 1 winner. You had the hard-hitting Lubosh. You had all sorts of really nice horses in there. This is a horse that's fired fresh in the past. And the last time Joel Rosario was up on him, they got the job done. That was back in May last year at Belmont Park. The big thing about this horse, he will not pass a parked car. He couldn't pass me in a foot race if he was behind me. And I am terribly, terribly slow. He has to make the front. Rosario has to know this. If he doesn't hit the front, I don't think he has a chance. I wouldn't take him at a penny shorter than the 5, the one he's listed at in the morning line. But I think at 5, he's value. Get out to the front, Joel.
Mike Beer, which Pletcher horse are you taking this week as your best bet? You've looked at every track. I'm sure Todd's got entrants everywhere. Which one?
If you want to get away from Pletcher horses at this time of year, just go to Aqueduct, man. That's where I went, to the Big A, race number 6. Tahoe Tigress, number 1, is the best bet of the weekend. She's 8-1 on the morning line in the Karakoram Electra, it's a claiming crown kind of race here. Off the reclaim for Jeremiah Englehart, these connections that she's had plenty of success with in the past. But the real thing to like about this filly in this race is the distance. 7 furlongs really works for her. She's at her very best in those elongated 1-turn races. She got it done in a shorter sprint last time, but those 6 furlong races are really too short for her. She gets 7/8 this time. This distance is not going to help a lot of her competition. It is going to help her. She is a good price in this race. She just needs a little bit of pace.
I'm going to try to beat a short-priced favorite in race number 10 at Gulfstream, the Honey Fox. I know that Celestine is really good. Her just a game last year on the Belmont Stakes undercard was awesome. She was 3-1 against the mighty Tepin at Keeneland for a reason in the fall, and she looked really, really good, winning her seasonal debut and first start for trainer Christophe Clement. But I have to admit, I was also really taken last year with Linda for trainer Ian Wilkes. She's done virtually nothing wrong on turf, and she looked really good winning her last start last year in the Mrs. Revere Stakes. If someone goes with Celestine early, I think Linda's late kick makes her very tough, very interesting at somewhat of a price, because you know Celestine's going to take a lot of money. Linda is 5-1 on the morning line. You have to deal with the layoff. You have to deal with Celestine, but I think 5-1 is a very fair price. We thank you so much for tuning in this week for Out of the Gate. We thank our contributors as well. We will see you next week on Out of the Gate. Best of luck when they break. Out of the Gate.